Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another episode of Sports Talk with Rags here in season 3, episode 36. And tonight, here we are talking to Russell Savage here with regarding collectibles and talking about local card shows here. Russell, how you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing real well this season. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing great. And hey, let's start at the beginning. I mean, what got your interest here with collectibles and autographs?
Well, the collectible side of it started real early on. I remember the first pack of baseball cards I opened was a '84 Tops, and and oddly enough, that's how I found my favorite baseball player besides Cal Ripken. I grew up
Right.
in Maryland, so obviously in the '80s you got to be a Baltimore fan and love Cal Ripken. But opened up a pack of baseball cards, and it happened to be in that pack of baseball cards was Mike Schmidt.
Yeah.
You didn't really know much about baseball as an 8-year-old, and I look on the back of the card and I'm like, this guy hits a lot of home runs. He's my new favorite player.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is about that same time, we lived in Florida, and my brother and I, my brother pitched, and he was on all-star teams and everything. And so we were over at one of his friends' house, and we took our baseball card collection over there. And this friend had like a notebook, had like covers and everything. And
Yeah.
I think my brother and I think our best card was like Eddie Murray rookie,
Good
and
card.
we didn't take care of it, and so
No, not back then. No.
yeah, no, so this friend down in Florida was like, hey, you need plastic covers, you need a notebook, and it's just crazy how even today, people are still collected, but there's a little bit more organization and people take care of their collectibles today.
I mean, it's a lot of those vintage cards where gently used is not a good way to describe them.
Right.
If back then, if you thought you were handling your cards really well, you wrapped them up in a rubber band,
Right.
and that was the best you had back then. Or maybe you just put it in a shoebox, and they all just jumbled in the shoebox itself. At worst, you're using them as spokes on your wheels to make that sound. So imagine how many Mickey Mantle rookie cards went through that. And I recently bought a small collection from a guy, and I was so happy because it had a Lou Alcindor rookie in it,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, this is going to be great.
Right.
And because condition is everything. And luckily, before I bought it, I start looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's the tall boy cards, and they had little characters of basketball players, one shooting something, one passing. Well, I guess he had decided that instead of white jerseys, they needed to be blue jerseys. So he
Uh, Jeez.
colored
Well,
it in the blue jersey, and here we are. What should have been a couple $1,000 card is still a few $100 card.
right.
But yeah, if we knew back then what we knew now,
Yeah.
there'd be a lot more millionaires out there.
Well, and the other thing is there in the mid '80s, we lived in Florida. We were, starting to be a little bit more, considerate there with our cards and how to take care of them. But then when I was in high school, I had a friend up here in a Tidewater that got into starting lineup figures, and
Oh
that was
yeah.
more than just baseball. And back then there would be shows at malls, where you can get tables
hmm
and sell your stuff, or just different areas for local collectors.
Yeah, they still have those mall shows, and I know there's still one going on out like in Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
guy that ran the show before we took it over, he ran a few at like the Patrick Henry Mall.
Right.
So we actually looked into it ourselves at the Lynn Haven Mall about running a show there,
Right.
and just it never came to fruition. But yeah, I remember those old mall shows.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so here when my wife and I met you here at the last show, I mean, I know they're at the field house, a little bit bigger, more dealers, but
Hmm.
definitely the headliner there is number 14 from Old Dominion,
Oh yeah.
or maybe with his recent run, it looked like that there were more Commander fans there in line to meet Heineke than ODU fans, but definitely getting Taylor Heineke to come back into town.
No, that was he. He's been one of the best guests that we've had so far, as far as his name recognition, and we always try and bring in somebody that has some sort of local tie. Either they're from here, they played from a team here. That's why we love bringing in former Mets guys, because Tidewater Tides were here forever, and this is still a huge Mets town.
Right.
And so we always try and have them some kind of local connection, or at least played on an East Coast team.
Right.
So
Yes, and I know when I met Heineke, at the Old Dominion Virginia Tech game, it was during end of the quarter, but he definitely seemed to be humble and definitely thankful to what Old Dominion gave him the opportunity to do.
yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, Old Dominion was one of the few Division One
Right,
teams that really gave him a shot, and he took that shot and ran with it, and hasn't forgotten where he came from, which is great.
right.
You got some guys that started from the bottom, make it all the way to the top, and they forget that they were at the bottom or where the bottom was. And he seems to really, 757 seems to really be a second home for him. So
Right, and then I mean, I've been to the field house to watch a nephew play basketball, but boy, what a great location to have one of those shows where on one side of the field house there are games, then there's a snack bar, and
yeah,
then on the other end, there's autographs plus dealers at different tables for different types of collectibles.
it's really been ideally a perfect place for us. When my partner Phil and I took over the show just 2.5 years ago, we were at the Pembroke Bingo Hall,
Right.
and that was 40 table show. And you know, you're with collectibles nowadays, you really have to say pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Right.
COVID really brought in a lot of people back into collecting, and has been, you know, like I said, you got to talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID. And we took over a 40 table show 2.5 years ago, and now it's the last show we were at, there were 180 tables.
Wow.
In November, we're we're staying at the field house, but we're taking over the basketball courts.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be 225 to 250 tables of vendors, more room for the autograph guests, so we can bring in more people, bigger names, because that's always been, it'd be great. Yeah, we bring in Bruce Smith, David Wright, and Ryan Zimmerman, but we got no room for.
Right.
We learned quickly that the bigger the name, the bigger the line, and that can. We used to have the autograph guests on the actual. So people that aren't familiar with the field house and where our setup is the Virginia Beach Field House is like the largest indoor practice facility on the East Coast, and they've got 4 indoor or turf soccer fields. They're mini fields, but we literally have a sports card collectibles show on turf, and it's a
Right.
really neat environment for it. And we used to have the autograph guests also on the field itself. So, the bigger the name, the bigger the line, and then they got in front of the vendors. So
No.
we actually put them off to the side in between the fields
Yeah.
this last time,
Yeah.
gave us some more room. And, oddly enough, we call it Autograph Alley. Autograph Alley has been a word out there forever, but this one's literally an alley between the two
Right.
fields.
Yeah.
So that was just a happy coincidence on that, and it allowed us. We brought in, from Taylor Heineke to Chris
Christine.
Samuels,
Yeah.
Bill Madlock, who was a great hitter in the major leagues, Sid Bream, who played for the Braves and then probably has one of the most famous moments of any Brave, and they just call it the slide.
Right.
When he slid into home from that famous play for them to get into the World Series back in '91.
Right.
And, we're supposed to have Dwight Gooden in there. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it. But, having that extra space allowed us to bring in some bigger names. Now starting November, when we're on the court side, we'll be able to bring in some bigger names and or more autograph guests, along with more tables of vendors. So.
Yeah, and the vendors, I mean, are they local people, or if people want to drive down from Richmond, do they reach out to you and your
Yeah.
partner?
So, we probably get them right now in a radius of a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours away. We've got a decent amount of vendors from Richmond, a few from Raleigh. We're starting to get, we had a guy just this first time he came all the way from Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
So what was very much a very local small card show has turned into, I'd like to say, a medium-sized regional show. It's now the second largest sports card collectibles show in Virginia. Chantilly obviously
Yeah.
is the big dog, and I say we're nowhere near that, nor will we. But my partner and I, we have full-time jobs, so if it ever gets to that point, we had long sold it to
Right.
people who that's their job. So.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is so these things are monthly. Do you guys try to have one in December, or just with Thanksgiving and Christmas, pretty much after having one in November, then you just wait till January or February?
No, we have one in December. It's usually
Okay.
earlier in December. It's usually the first or second week of December. I had an old boss of mine that said you can't beat Santa Claus.
Right.
So, but it's also a good time for people to buy Christmas gifts for the collectible in their life. And it's we in November we're at the Field House, and then we're how we do it is it's two shows in a row at the bingo hall. And the bingo hall, we can fit 91, 92 tables in the bingo hall. And then we're right around 175, 180 in the field house. So we do it 2 months at the bingo hall, 1 month at the field house, 2 months bingo hall, 1 month at the field house.
Okay. Yes, and I see June 10th at the bingo hall with the guest being former Redskin Curtis Jordan.
Yep. Yeah. Former Super Bowl winner. He was on the 87 team. Luckily enough, he lives here locally now. So so again, he played for, local team, lives here locally. And so we're able to bring him in, and we really love bringing in, those former Redskin guys, especially, if they've got any, ties to any of those Super Bowl teams. It's been a real blessing to have, we've had Mike Nelms at the show twice now. He's a great guest. We just had him. He was at the last show, and then Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders, we've had before. So, I love, being a kid that grew up right outside of,
Yeah.
DC myself. I love bringing in those former Skins guys.
Right. Yes, and July 15th, there when you say two shows at the bingo hall,
Yep.
one show at the field house. So July's show is there at the bingo hall. Any guests lined up for that one, or is
Working on some Tides guys. So the
okay.
Tides are in town. The The good thing, bad thing with the Tides being here is they're here. Bad thing is if you name somebody too early and they get called up to the Orioles, then
Right.
then you're in mode where you got to find somebody else really quickly. So, uh, 99% sure we're gonna have a Tides guy in for that. So
Right. Yes, and even though you said November at the field house, it looks like August 19th
August
right now
19th. Yep. Yeah,
scheduled.
and we've already got some really good guests lined up for that show. We're not there where we can announce them publicly, but
Right.
more again, local ties. So
Okay.
imagine some more Redskins or more Mets. So
Okay. All right. Yes, and for those that don't know, the bingo hall is at 809 Chimney Hill Shopping Center there in Virginia Beach, and it looks like that show's going to be from 9 to 3 there on that Saturday.
yep, 9 to 3. Doors open up right at 9. We also, if you're there and you get hungry, we have a food truck there right at the right outside. So Blackwater Barbecue will be there. It's our third or fourth time bringing them back as a food truck for our bingo hall shows. They've been real popular. So nothing wrong with some baseball cards and barbecue. Just don't mix them together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is it's more than just sports fans. I mean, because for your June show, comic books, Pokemon cards, so more than just somebody that's into baseball, football, basketball cards.
Yeah, I mean it's a true collectibles show. We got action figures, toys, Funko Pops. Pokemon's really blown up in the last couple years, and when my partner and I, Phil, took over the show, one of the first decisions we made was to open it up to all collectibles,
Yeah.
and that's been a really great thing because there's a lot of crossover. I mean, I'm mainly a sports card collector guy, but I read comics too. I've got pop and I got some Star Wars pops right over here to my left. So there is a lot of crossover in the collectibles where for some people are just strictly comics, some people are just strictly sports cards, but there is a lot of crossover with there. You'll see people walking out with comics, pops, Pokemon, and baseball cards all at the same time. So
Right. And then the other thing is if you want to get a table, is there a fee, or you just have to reach out to you or your partner there to see about getting a table?
yeah, if you're interested in selling, reach out to us. Easiest way is just get up on our Facebook page or Instagram pages, which are 757 Card Shows, or the website 757cardshows.com. And for the most part, our bingo hall shows are always sold out.
Oh,
We don't even have to try and sell those tables. It's just
right.
it's who wants a table, and then of our regulars and semi-regulars, and then the field house, because it is 180 tables. We are able to open up to the public for a few tables here and there. Now, when we come to November and we're on the court side and we're up to 225 plus tables, then a lot of we've got a really deep waiting list of people who want to be vendors.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we are moving over to the bigger side at the field house, is to accommodate more vendors.
Right. Right, and so the thing is with your two bingo hall, one field house, you got the next 2 months, June and July, at the bingo hall, Virginia Beach Field House, August, then September, October, back at the bingo hall, and then boom, November,
Yeah,
and and then you're on the bigger side
bigger
there for
side,
November.
and then we're talking about February turning it into a 2-day show at the field house. So we'll be at the bigger side of the facility, and then for it to be a 2-day show. We've done one 2-day show at the bingo hall as a test run, just either March or April. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And
Right.
it went real well. We had a lot of people come up to us and thank us for having the show on Sunday too, because they're
Couldn't get
busy on Saturdays or they work on
right.
Saturdays, and this gave them an opportunity to come to the show. And a lot of the bigger, as our show's growing and getting more popular up and down the East Coast, a lot of those bigger shows are 2 days or 3 day shows. So it's just the natural progression of our show to we're thinking probably February has always been, at least for us at the Field House, our most attended show.
Right.
And so, and then November is our second most attended show. So we're thinking, if all goes well, February this time with a 2 day show, and then we'll just make it, November and February going forward. So that's the plan at least. So
Okay. All right. And do you know how long there's been local card shows like at the bingo hall? I know that you said that you and your partner have been running it for 2.5 years.
yeah, so we're really, the stewards of it the last 2.5 years. I mean, this is a 30-plus-year-old lineage of a show. It, it's been as far back as the '90s it's been at the Witch Duck Bingo Hall. It's been at the Interstate Bingo Hall. So it's a long traditioned show.
Right.
It's just, under our watch, it's gone from a 40, 50 table show to now something at the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse, which is going to be over 200, tables. When we first announced that we were doing shows at the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse and we mentioned numbers of more than 100 tables, people thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
That'll never happen around here, or good luck, I'll be there when it happens. And
Right.
here we are. Uh, we started November. The November show will be our third go around
Okay.
of a November. So here we are. It's been 2 years of doing this, and knock on wood, it's been quite successful for us. And
Yeah, and I would have to say, I mean, with my wife and I coming there on that Saturday, May 6th, they're at the field house. I mean, I know that we were there to meet Heineke, to meet Sid Bream, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, what a great place there, where games going on to the right, but then the collectible show was off to the left as you walked in, and then, as you said, autograph alley. You
Yeah,
know, and just with the different times.
yeah.
That Chris Samuels was signing, Heineke was signing, and the other professional players, and I think Sid Bream was there from like 12:30 to 2 or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think he was the last. Yeah, he was actually flying in that day, so
Oh,
he was
okay.
in and out that day. So yeah,
Oh,
he was probably landed at like 11, got to the field house, grabbed something to eat at the cafe, and then
yeah.
was at his table. So, and he was, yeah, we've been really lucky with the guests that we've had, that they've been, you know, really great with the guest, and which is, for us, if we break even on them, but it brings more people to the show, and it creates a good experience for our guests. They're gonna come back, and we've been really lucky. Bill Madlock was, take pictures with anybody. Sid Bream was the same way. I mean, Sid Bream was sitting, and he was telling stories of people, and people were just kind of gathering around him to listen to him.
Right.
And um,
Yeah, and it looked like Heineke. I mean, he was. I know that 13, local TV was there to interview him after he was done signing to who was in line. But it looked like Heineke was taking the time. Didn't really seem to be in a rush. And definitely took his time with the fans.
even though that line looked very daunting,
Yeah.
it was amazing, one, how fast it went through, but again, he took his time with people, and would take a picture with you, and it wasn't just, I've been to some of these bigger conventions, and it's, the guest gets the thing to sign, and they just and then hand it off, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Not at no handshake, no, hey, Mr. So and so, it was great meeting you. I've been a big fan. It's just next and next, and it's a machine almost. And like, again, we've been really lucky with the guests that we brought in, that they're great with our guests.
Right.
So
Yeah, and here, here with the website, 757 card shows. I mean, here's a picture of Sam Allen there, talking with Rudy May and Fred Smoot,
yeah.
came. I mean, so definitely some recent pictures of former commanders that have played.
Oh yeah. No, Fred was great. When we had Fred there, I mean, he was like holding court. I just, it was like he was on stage just doing his bit. So it was amazing.
Right. So you got 757cardshows.com. You also got a Facebook page and also an
Facebook
Instagram.
and Instagram, Twitter. So
Okay. All right. So definitely hit the social media um, waves there to see, and then also you can't definitely, if you wake up on the 10th, come on down to the bingo hall, and you can pay as you show up, right?
yeah, so admission is free,
Yeah.
and our autograph guests. I think we're starting Curtis off at $5 for an autograph if you provide your own item, and then we'll have pictures, cards, some mini helmets, other things that you
Right.
can get signed. So you don't have to have any item all ready to go. We have some available for you,
Right.
and we've
Yeah.
got a great. One of our vendors is actually a graphic artist, and she
Oh,
creates these custom images for us.
oh, nice.
And yeah, so we have those in 5x7 and 8x10s, and
All right. Yeah. Yeah. And I've had from coming to your May show, I was able to get Sid Bream on Thursday night, this past Thursday night.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm in talks here with I think Heineke's coming back in town for a football camp. So
Oh, okay.
here Memorial Day weekend. But
A great guest for you to have, and we had him at the bingo hall, is Shamarko Thomas. If you haven't had him yet, he
okay,
is he was he's great and very engaging.
yeah,
Um, and just I would, if you need some contact information for him, he's phenomenal.
okay, all
Um,
right, yeah,
yeah.
I'll look into that. But hey, fans, put down these summer shows. June and July is at the Bingo Hall, and August is at the Field House, and then definitely in the fall. Nothing against September and October, but definitely the November show at the Field House. That should be a good time there, being on the basketball courts.
Yeah, that'll be one for the records for sure. So
Yeah.
if we can pull off some of the guests that we're in conversations with, this will. We've had some phenomenal autograph guest lineups already, but if we can really pull off some of these names, and it's going to be a show to remember.
Yeah, well, hey, Russell, appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on and talking about the 757 card shows.
Oh no, I sure appreciate you having us on, and thanks for coming out to the show
Sure
a
thing.
couple weeks ago.
All right, sure, no problem. And fans, just stay tuned there to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and then also definitely 757cardshows.com. here with June 10th being former Redskin player, Chris Jordan there that played for the Super Bowl champs there in '87 with Doug Williams and Timmy Smith.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks again for coming on. All right. Good night.